What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. Now, look, I know I'm looking a little rough, a little scruffy, but I'm getting a haircut in a few days, so it is what it is, right? I saw a clip of Jermell Charlo, right? He's promoting his fight with Canelo Alvarez coming up. Dope fight, amazing fight. Al Heyman and the PBC have been putting on brilliant fights all year long, from Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia to Caleb Plant and David Benavidez to Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford to now Jermell Charlo and Canelo Alvarez, right? In an interview, Jermell is asked about Errol Spence, and basically has he talked to Errol since Errol's defeat? What did he think about the fight, so on and so forth. And Jermell Charlo was basically saying like, hey, he feel like Terrence Crawford was landing illegal blows in the fight that maybe subdued Errol Spence. What is subdued the word? Or basically knocked his equilibrium off in a bad way. And Errol Spence was never good after that. Like, he made it seem like illegal shots was the reason why Terrence Crawford was victorious in the manner that he was. And let me just say this. I don't like that from Jermell Charlo. I've been liking a lot of stuff that Jermell Charlo has been doing and saying over the last few years. Right? Outside of the Deontay Wilder shit he pulled, I've been liking a lot of the stuff that he's been doing. But this is something I don't like. Y'all know me. I'm one of the biggest Errol Spence fans you can find. However, excuses do not work well for Errol Spence's image, reputation, or his boxing future. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. There are a lot of people who already didn't like Errol Spence like that going forward anyway, right? There were people who always said that a lot of Errol Spence fans would cling on to certain excuses. And when those excuses are made, they will place that on Errol Spence himself. Some people are not intelligent enough to say, hey, Errol Spence is not saying this. Other people are saying this. And they will just take the excuses that come from Jermell Charlo because he's close to Errol and say, oh, that's Errol saying that shit too. Or just attribute that to Errol. Right? That's not a good look. Errol took his loss like a man, like a warrior, stood on all 10 toes, right? And say, hey, no excuses. That man was the better man that night. Okay? He did his shit. He got busy. And hey, it is what it is. He was the better man. No excuses. It does not help his image and reputation when people around him are making certain excuses for him. Deontay Wilder, my boy. I didn't like him saying Errol was weight drained. I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Right? Because now you're going to have people questioning Errol's heart or making it seem like Errol is saying these things. You know what I mean? And throwing, like, smearing his name and dragging his name through the mud because y'all saying excuses that he not even making for himself at all. Right? So I don't like that. Furthermore, I don't like that because that doesn't help his boxing future. Luckily, I believe that Errol Spence is a man who thinks for himself and goes into things on his own accord. Because if he wasn't, he would listen and cling on to the excuses that certain people around him are making or certain people out there in the atmosphere are making and use that as the reason why he lost. And that would be all wrong for him in a fight. That would be terrible for him in a fight. Errol Spence needs to hear the truth on why he lost that fight. Right? And because this is the thing, when you hear the truth, then you can correct things better. When you hear certain things of why you lost, certain things you did wrong, it leads to corrective action, which will help you possibly have a better outcome in the fight. Now, as big as an Errol Spence fan that I am, I just believe that Terrence Crawford he just got Errol Spence's number. I do. And from what I watched, I believe he just has Errol Spence's number, right? But I do think Errol can put up a much better fight, for sure. So he doesn't need to hear, oh, it was just a weight, or so on and so forth. He needs to hear actual things, analysis that went wrong for him so that he can improve going forward. I just saw an interview with Jermell Charlo getting interviewed with Sway in the morning, and Derek James is there. They're talking to Derek James, and they asked Derek, like, hey, what went wrong? What did he do wrong? And Derek say, we know some things that, he can improve on. I can't share that with you all. That will be, I guess, leading to their game plan for a fight. But it's good that Derek James is not clinging to the, hey, he was weight drained, he wasn't as strong, nothing like that. Because that will allow him to think that all I got to do is be bigger, and that'll make the fight better. I'll be better. Because bigger won't be better for Errol Spence. Right? It's certain nuances in a fight game that could change the outcome of certain things or make it more competitive, like everybody had hoped it to be. You know what I mean? There's some people that wanted a a one-side washing. A lot of people wanted that, you know, Terrence Bud Crawford fans. But it was a lot of boxing fans in general wanted a close, great fight, super competitive fight. And unfortunately, it was one-sided. So Errol needs to hear the truth. He needs to hear, you know, his name, his nickname, the moniker. He needs to hear the truth so that he can be better. He can be sharper. He can hone certain things. He can practice on certain things and do it with great attention to detail. I don't need him attributing the loss to him just not being at full strength. Because that's not going to change things. Certain mistakes he did, a lot of mistakes he made, it had nothing to do with strength, right? Now, his punch may be heavier, his pop may be heavier at 154, but also Terrence Crawford's pop will be heavier at 154 as well. So he needs to work on his feet, footwork, so on and so forth. He needs to work on keeping his head off of the line at times, you know what I mean? Certain things like that. And he needs to work on being able to anticipate Terrence Crawford's jab better. If he hears those things, then that will improve him. You know, now granted, Errol has never been the quickest fighter, so that kind of was a problem too. He's not quick enough to stay in the pocket and bang with Terrence, because when he throws one, Terrence can throw three, and Errol can't really anticipate it that quick, because Terrence is a lot quicker than him at times. But he can do things better. He can make better sound decisions in the ring that could lead to a better outcome, right? And if he is stronger at 54, maybe he has a chance of hurting Terrence Crawford in better fashion. But in that fight we just saw, the bully tactic was not going to work because Terrence was stronger than Errol. You know what I mean? So he needs to hear, no, it wasn't just illegal punches, none of that. Because there really wasn't no illegal punches, man. Like an ear shot he got hit with close by the ear, right around that time. But, I mean, people get hit with them temple shots all the time. So it's not an illegal shot. It's a lot of things that Errol has to be sharper on to make the fight much better. And so I'm glad to hear Derrick James acknowledging those things, because they have to get to work, and Errol has to improve in order to not face the same type of onslaught he faced the first time around. So yeah, I don't like the Jermell talking about illegal shots. I didn't like Deontay Wilder talking about being weight drained. You know, not saying that they should trash Errol Spence at all, because that's your boy. You don't trash him, you know what I mean? You give Terrence Crawford his props, but then if you have a conversation with Errol, you tell him, hey, this happened, that happened. This is the reason why certain things didn't go the way it's supposed to that you wanted it to go, and this is how you improve. That's how a fighter gets better. Even when the fighter himself acknowledges what happened to him, that is a sign of, hey, he'll be better, because he's recognizing and acknowledging certain shit certain things he could have done better in that ring. Certain things he could have done to not make his night as hard as it was. You know what I mean? So, and it's good for Errol to acknowledge, hey, he was a better man. You know what I mean? So on and so forth. So that's a step into your redemption phase. You know what I mean? So yeah, but I don't like the excuses from Jermell Charlo, and I'm like, man, because that's going to make Errol look bad. You know what I mean? And then if he absorbs that, it'll go into his psyche that, oh, I'm not strong enough. And that wasn't the case. But like I said, luckily Errol is a man that seems to march to the beat of his own drum. So he won't take that in and, you know, and be like, oh, that's the reason I lost. Nah, bro. So you lost because the guy was the better man, but it's a lot of mistakes that you made going, you know, in that fight as well. Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm out. Peace.